Hello and welcome back to Football Daily. With the new year on the horizon, let's take a look at our biggest flops of 2019. Let's go. Malcom. In all fairness, the back end of 2018 wasn't great for Malcom either, but the last 12 months have been even worse for the once hotly tipped Brazilian. Clocking up just 608 La Liga minutes following his big money move to Barcelona, the former Bordeaux man was clearly deemed not fit for purpose by manager Ernesto Valverde, who was understood not to have wanted his signing in the first place. His subsequent switch to Zenit St. Petersburg was somewhat surprising, especially given Roma had been so keen to acquire his services the previous summer. But the Russian club are willing to take the 22-year-old on, give him regular game time, and pay close to the €41 million forked out by Barcelona, a figure deemed too large by other European clubs. But Malcom's move east has been a nightmare so far. First, his arrival in Russia was protested by Zenit's infamous ultras, and he was then subjected to racial abuse on his debut, leading to talk of a swift return to La Liga. However, after just 2 appearances, he injured his hip, and he has been on the sidelines ever since, already missing 22 games and counting. Surely things can't get any worse right now for Malcom. Nicolas Pépé. Probably the harshest inclusion on this list, Nicolas Pépé's lack of productivity since joining Arsenal and his hefty price tag has landed him plenty of critics, despite a number of impressive performances for the Gunners. The Ivorian has been one of the more positive attacking players in a side which has been consistently outshot by opponents in 2019-20. Illustrated by the fact he completes 4.3 dribbles a match, by far the best figure in the squad, and creates 1.9 chances a game, only bettered by Mesut Ozil. But the fact remains that for £72 million, 3 goal involvements in nearly 800 league minutes does not represent star quality, even if XG has him at closer to 5. He has also played only 62% of available game time at the Emirates, again not great for a record signing. And while we may have expected the former Lille man's mojo to fade a little while he adapts to playing in a stronger league, his drop-off has been severe. He is currently averaging 0.52 expected goals per 90 compared with 0.85 in his final season in Ligue 1. Pépé may have commenced 2019 on fire, but ending it as one of the scapegoats of the disastrous Emery era has taken some considerable shine off his previous achievements. Brahim Díaz. Much has been made of Phil Foden's lack of game time at Man City recently, but when you look at the lack of progress made by former teammate Brahim Díaz since leaving the Etihad, it makes the Englishman's decision to stay in the Prem a bit more understandable. Real Madrid paid around £15 million to acquire the highly rated Spaniard in January, and handed him a 6.5-year contract, suggesting he is in the club's long-term plans. And the early signs were good. The then 19-year-old was handed 5 league starts by Zinedine Zidane, clocking up nearly 400 minutes. Impressive given he failed to make a single matchday squad during his final months in the Premier League. However, since the summer, Brahim has hardly had a sniff, afforded just 2 9-minute sub-appearances in the first half of the season, with the summer arrivals of Eden Hazard and Rodrigo pushing him down to 8th in the attacking pecking order. Meanwhile, another young forward who was acquired by Madrid this year, 18-year-old Takefusa Kubo, is thriving on loan at Mallorca, where he has already clocked up 12 appearances. 2 years his elder, Brahim would surely benefit from a loan switch himself, but he has so far been unenthusiastic about the idea. As things stand, his career is stagnating before it's even properly begun. Jean-Michel Seri. One of Europe's most wanted midfielders just 2 years ago, Jean-Michel Seri saw his stock drop to an all-time low in 2019. His €30 million move to Fulham in 2018 came as a shock to many, not least those who had followed the legitimate stories linking his signature with Arsenal and Barcelona. But his time at Craven Cottage proved uninspiring to say the least. One of the better players in a woeful side, Seri nevertheless suffered, with his completed passes per game falling from nearly 80 in France to less than 50 in the Prem. And after the turn of the year, Seri, who was known for contributing to goals from deep while at Nice, truly became a shadow of his former self. He failed to register a single goal or assist beyond January, and was phased out of the side before the end of the relegation campaign. To make matters worse, the loan move to Galatasaray which followed has hardly been any better. Since arriving in Turkey, Seri has struggled to nail down a regular place, and has been afforded just 1 league start since September, clocking up less than 500 minutes for the champions, who are languishing in 8th at the time of recording. This has led to talk of the Istanbul club cutting his loan short in January. Truly embarrassing for such a technically adept player, who could have been cutting it alongside Rakitic and De Jong had things gone slightly differently. Moise Kean. Like Brahim Díaz, Moise Kean has plenty of time to become a world beater, but 2019 was very much a false dawn for the teenager. The Juventus Academy graduate made his debut for the Old Lady when he was just 16, but only properly broke into the first team towards the back end of last season, and made an instant impact, scoring 6 goals in 6 Serie A games between March and April, during which he also scored twice for Italy. But despite making a meaningful contribution to Juve's 8th consecutive Scudetto, Kean was deemed surplus to requirements by incoming coach Maurizio Seri, and his subsequent move to Everton has yielded nothing so far. He has been given just 2 starts in the Premier League, racking up just 300 minutes for the Toffees at the time of recording, the lowest tally in the entire Everton squad, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Cenk Tosun both preferred to him up top. And this lack of opportunity has had a direct effect on his performance. He now takes just 1.8 shots in the box per 90 minutes, compared with 3 last season. Kean's father has even claimed his son's move to Merseyside was a mistake, and despite the striker dismissing these comments, to say his transfer hasn't gone to plan is an understatement. Let's hope 2020 sees the supremely talented youngster blossom again. Suso. The 2018-19 season saw AC Milan record their highest Serie A finish and points tally in 6 years, and Suso played a big part, with only Dries Mertens and Papu Gomez providing more than his 10 assists in the Italian top flight. But even in the second half of the campaign, the Spaniard's production was slowing down, as he assisted teammates just twice between November and the end of May. So far this season, Milan look like a blunted sword, already on their second manager and unable to threaten defences in the way they did last season. Suso's output has reflected this, with just 1 goal and 1 assist at the time of recording, and his underlying numbers don't look too great either. His key passes per game have dropped from 2.8 to 2.4, and his expected goals and assists per 90 now stands at 0.3, his worst record since 2015. As things stand, Suso is set for his least productive season since leaving Liverpool. An awful 12 months for the 26-year-old, who has previously been a talismanic figure for the Rossoneri. Joelinton. Okay, so we actually called this one at the start of the season. Joelinton's £40 million move to Newcastle in the summer was not only by far the most expensive transfer in Magpies history, dwarfing the $20 million splashed out on Miguel Almiron just months earlier, but also seemed overpriced for a player who at 22 had spent just 1 full season in a top 5 league. While the Brazilian had enjoyed a good season at Hoffenheim in 2018-19, his 7 goals and 5 assists were hardly spectacular in a side which ranked 3rd in the Bundesliga scoring charts, with Iosi Perez and Salomon Rondon both contributing more for a defensive Newcastle outfit under Rafa Benitez. And to make matters worse, Joelinton arrived in northeast England with the Spanish manager having left. The transition between Julian Nagelsmann and Steve Bruce was never going to be easy, and Joelinton's output has suffered even more than expected, with the centre-forward recording just 1 league goal in over 1,000 league minutes this term. What's more, he's now taking under 2 shots a game for the first time in his short career. A truly disastrous 5 months at St James's Park. Paul Pogba. At the end of last year, we declared that 2019 was Pogba's for the taking. Having recently won the World Cup, the Frenchman would blossom with Mourinho out of Old Trafford, and even if he remained unhappy in Manchester, a move to a more attack-minded side abroad would help him regain his best form and silence his critics. However, 12 months on, and neither has happened. Pogba kicked off the year on fire under Solskjaer, directly contributing to 13 goals in the league during the Norwegians' first month and a half in charge, a brilliant streak which would land him a place in the team of the season. But this world-beating form soon dropped off, much like the rest of the team, following United's victory over PSG in the Champions League. In fact, Pogba has scored just twice since February, both of them penalties, and having had a potential move to Real Madrid thwarted in the summer, the 2019-20 campaign has been almost non-existent, with an ankle injury causing him to make just 5 appearances in the Prem. Hardly the fireworks we were expecting from the former Juventus man. Jean-Kévin Augustin. Another player we tipped to smash 2019 this time last year, Jean-Kévin Augustin, has been near anonymous for the last 12 months. The PSG Academy graduate looked like a superstar in the making during his first campaign at RB Leipzig, hitting 9 goals and 5 assists in limited minutes in the 2017-18 campaign. However, last season saw the Frenchman given just 4 starts in the Bundesliga, with the form of Youssouf Poulsen keeping him out of the side, and a loan move back to Ligue 1 with Monaco has proved even more miserable. At the time of recording, he has played less than 200 minutes of league football, with the fruitful partnership of Ben Yedder and Slimani compelling him to the bench this time. Now 22, Augustin is at an age when regular first-team football is paramount to his development as a forward. But with just 1 league start this campaign, and his last league goal coming all the way back in September 2018, things are not looking good at all for the youngster. So those were our biggest flops of 2019. Did you agree? Did you disagree? Did you think we were being a bit harsh on some of them? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, why not click on the video on screen right now? And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.